So I'm pretty sure by now everybody has heard the news that Devin Booker is now a Phoenix Sun. And I think everybody had the same thought when they saw the trade go down, and it's like, what the hell are the Phoenix Suns thinking? Because as of right now, not only do they compound an issue that was hitting them very, very hard in the playoffs, being one-dimensional offense, they didn't address any of the other issues they have, and that being defense and depth. But as of right now, after taking a couple days and more details of the trade coming out, not only did the Washington Wizards actually get completely and utterly destroyed in this trade, the Phoenix Suns did a little bit better than they had with the other assets that they brought back. So let's talk about not only what the Phoenix Suns got back, but the fit on this roster, how they can fill it out, and overall what you can expect from the Suns going into this season. So if you're subscribed to the channel, you realize that I streamed immediately after this trade went down. By the way, the streams are 4 times a week on Saturdays, Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Come through. But I immediately had the same thought as everybody else. But after taking some time to really think about everything, the Phoenix Suns really did a good job of this trade. Not only did they bring back Bradley Beal for little and nothing, because let's face it here, Chris Paul and Landry Shamet on their team was not going to fix their depth. So if you can use those two to actually upgrade in at least one area or some areas, you make that trade 9 times out of 10, even if it does kind of screw you salary cap wise, because you really didn't have any other way to get better, as you saw it anyway, with Chris Paul even on the roster, with him making $30 million, and you still are going to be over the cap. But what the Phoenix Suns did in this sense also brought back Jordan Goodwin, who I think is an insanely good fit and a very underrated player in this league. So let's talk about the first part of it, and that is the trade. So bringing back Bradley Beal for just Chris Paul and Landry Shamet was a very good thing for the Phoenix Suns, and to be honest, the Washington Wizards didn't really have anything to say about it after giving Beal a max contract that a lot of teams didn't really want to have on their salary cap, or a no trade clause, which means that Bradley Beal can decide wherever he wants to go no matter which teams he gets traded to on his current contract. So even now the Suns are married to him in that sense. So with that trade, the Phoenix Suns also, dipped their foot in a little bit even deeper and requested Jordan Goodwin, a nice point guard that's pretty good defensively and also has the chops to be a traditional point guard and has some nice game. And if he can improve that 3-point shot, he can be very, very good for this Phoenix Suns team. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Overall, getting Bradley Beal in this roster was kind of a win for the Phoenix Suns in the sense that now you have 3 guys that are 3-level scorers. I know we use that a lot, but let's face it, Kevin Durant doesn't get to the rim as much as he did early in his career. Devin Booker takes 40% of his shots in the mid-range, and Bradley Beal takes 46% of his shots in the mid-range. But what this can do is on certain pick-and-roll actions when you do double Devin Booker or Kevin Durant, because the main thing people do see those guys has a small weakness is making advanced reads in the pick-and-roll, but they are good at making easy reads in the pick-and-roll. And we saw in the Sun series when they were exploiting on offense, really, is that the moment you double them and you get the ball to somebody else, Devin Booker or Kevin Durant can penetrate the paint quite easily. And when you do that, it does open the shots for a lot of other people. The problem is the guys that were open on this roster were Torrey Craig. Yeah, you weren't really going to get a lot of open made threes with those guys in your roster. Now you have somebody in Bradley Beal that, even though a lot of people don't trust the 3-point shot anymore, which I don't know why, even last year he shot 40% on catch and shoot jump shots from 3, and throughout his career he's been a very, very good 3-point shooter when he's on catch and shoot attempts, just not when he has to create them for himself. And a majority of them now are going to come on catch and shoot attempts for this team. Another thing that's very good for this team is that all 3 of these guys are not high-level playmakers, but really good at it and know how to make the right reads. We all saw what happened when Kevin Durant's going to be one of your main playmakers when he was on Brooklyn. They played the Boston Celtics and they double-teamed him and forced him to make advanced reads. It didn't end well. Devin Booker has shown some growth as a playmaker, averaging I think about 8 assists with Chris Paul out off this roster, but I wouldn't say he is a high-level playmaker either, and Bradley Beal has shown that he's good at that in small spurts. Now, you don't need a really high-level playmaker, but you need a lot of smart guys on this roster that can all make the right read and the right pass. And if you include Jordan Goodwin in this starting lineup, you have 4 guys that know how to do that at a pretty good level, that you only really be trapped as a playmaker. And I think people do overrate the thought of making advanced reads, because they see Tyrese Halliburton, Nikola Jokic just pick apart teams defensively all the damn time, when other teams just don't have the firepower that this Phoenix Suns team does have right now. So not only the Phoenix Suns brought in another high-level scorer that can play make a little bit, they also bought a nice defensive point guard that can also handle the rock and play make a little bit in small spurts. Really did a good job of trying to fill it out as much as possible and drag as much as they can from Washington for accepting that enormous of a damn salary and a no trade call from Bradley Beal. So the Phoenix Suns with these moves have shown me that they're not entirely stupid. And right now with $162 million committed to these three guys, I don't even think they're over the salary cap as of yet, because they only have 4 players on their roster, or 5 players now with Jordan Goodwin, that have guaranteed contracts. So with them now only hitting, I think, about $166 million committed to all the players that are on their roster, they still have their mid-level exception. And with that, there's a lot of players on the market that you can use that on. Whether it's someone like Kobe White, that's shown that he's a very good catch and shoot 3-point shooter, can take his defender off the dribble on closeouts and still finish around the rim with floaters, and etc. Pull up in the mid range. Overall, a pretty good offensive point guard. But then you look at guys, if you want to back up big, like a Mason Plumlee, that's always been positives for the teams that he's gone to. Another backup guard you can look at are guys like Dennis Schroeder or even Max Strus, with how bad he played in the NBA Finals. Maybe his price tag isn't as high as some people expect it to be. Or guys that aren't maybe restricted free agents, but you'd think their team probably aren't going to bring them back, like Grant Williams, etc. Or even KD's old teammate in Yuta Watanabe in the Brooklyn Nets. That was one of the best 3-point shooters the league has seen in a while, off catch and shoots and playing off both Kyrie and KD. Now he's coming here playing off KD, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker. He's going to get similar looks even on this roster. I don't think the depth is going to be incredibly horrible, because even with those guys now, you got you still have Kevin Durant or Devin Booker or Bradley Beal, or a combination of the two, always on the court at the same time. So it's not really going to be as like they're alone on the court every single time without one of those three. And then you still can bring back guys like Torrey Craig because you have his bird right. Still bring out Jacques Landale because he's shown even in the playoffs that he can give you some valuable minutes here and there at the 5 spot. Guys like Darius Baisley for a bargain, because I don't think he's gonna get too many big offers. And even TJ Warren, who again is probably going to be back for the minimum, because I don't think there's a lot of teams that really require his skill set, gonna throw big money at him. So again, the Phoenix Suns have ways to fill out their bench that doesn't really look amazing, but you don't really need to look amazing when you have 3 offensive stars like this on your roster. Now with that being said, with this team's championship aspirations, do I think they can get it done? I wouldn't go that far. The problem here with this roster is that you're going to have to win now this season, because if any other point, you're married to this roster. As of right now, KD's 35 and he's going to be making a lot, and I mean a lot of money for the rest of his career for the next, I think, 2 to 3 seasons. Devin Booker is already an extension that's going to be making $50 million the next couple seasons, and so is Bradley Beal. So even after this season, next season put together, they're going to be over the salary cap, just the 4 of them by themselves. And with that being said, you're kind of married to these 4 as your core 4, and you're going to have to sign a bunch of vet minimum guys unless you sign some people on multiple year contracts, which I also don't think is a smart idea, because now you're more married to this roster with guys that probably aren't upgradable or getting better on this roster. So right now with the Phoenix Suns, I do think I'm mostly the 4th best roster in the Western Conference. That's behind the Denver Nuggets, that's just 1. That's behind the Lakers, that we all know they're going to re-sign Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and use some of their assets to get better throughout the offseason. That's with the Golden State Warriors with more than enough assets to get better next season. So, and I think the Phoenix Suns may be right behind them, and that's without saying if the Sacramento Kings, if the Memphis Grizzlies, once healthy, are 2 other teams that can definitely see themselves having better rosters than them. But at the end of the day, you do what you can to make this team better, and you can. As of right now, Kevin Durant is still one of the best scorers in the NBA. Devin Booker is the best shooting guard in the NBA right now, and Bradley Beal is a top 5 shooting guard in this league right now. This team has a lot of star power, but we've seen in the past couple years that star power really doesn't want to win you championships. At the end of the day, the Phoenix Suns did what they did already, and I do think they're better than a lot of teams think they are. But I'm still on the side of a lot of people saying that maybe this move doesn't help them win now. But I think it's still a move that you make. It's a no-brainer. Getting rid of Chris Paul and Andrew Shepard for Bradley Beal kind of is. That being said, this is FLB. Let me know guys think in the comments down below. Where do you think this Phoenix Suns team is ranking in the NBA? With that being said, this is FLB. That's my time. I'm out.